Hello everybody, this is NinjaCW and I'm coming with the Pi tutorial. This is the second one in the series. We're going to keep it going here with Pi. Basically, she's a character. She doesn't have a lot of string variants, but she's very fast, but she's not going to string you down if that's what you're looking for. She's really counter poke heavy because she has one of the fastest mids in the game, one of the fastest jabs. She has a pretty good step killer, and that's her in a nutshell. But what she doesn't do is do stun launch. She's not that good at it. She doesn't get a respectable, I would say respectable damage when she does do stun launch. It's average at best, really. It's like 40 to 50 points, and I'm going to turn this on counter for when we start getting into it. But I'm just going to go over basic pokes. Close range, she got jab. On block, it's a 0. So that pretty much leaves you in driver's seat. Nobody's really going to beat you out at close range, at least most of the characters anyway. Close range, you also have forward punch, which is on counter hit. It gives a pretty good stun. It doesn't give the same kind of stun when they're crouching. It gives a weird stun. So we'll get into what happens when you won't think people duck it next. But she has jab, forward punch, and she has a low. And those are pretty much going to be the moves I stick with throughout the tutorial, because those are like her most basic poking tools outside her step killer, which is back kick. That'll catch somebody when they're trying to step because they get sick of getting hit by a forward punch all day. So those are the moves you really want to focus upon in terms of when you're in close range. From about this distance, just to get in there and force a mix-up, you have back punch, which is +1 on block. So that's pretty huge for her, considering she's already one of the faster characters in the game. That gives you pretty much a 10-frame mid at that point. So you can kind of go with it with however you want, with throws, whatnot, anything like that. And within this video, though, we're pretty much just going to go over the pokes. I'm not really going to go over counter pokes, because for the most part, people are going to be trying to counter poke you. Like, her pokes are pretty much hand-in-hand with her counter pokes. So we're not really going to focus on counter poking, but I'll show you a small post flowchart to get the critical burst, because that's where all her damage comes from. She doesn't really thrive on stun launch. Like, she gets, like I said, pretty super average damage. It's pretty below average damage in terms of stun launch that other characters like Momiji gets, where she's into the 70s and 80s and 90s from just hitting you and then launching you. So she's a character that really she stuns you and then she goes for a mix-up and to try to go to critical burst. But like I said, we're only going to focus on 3 attacks, which is forward punch, down free plus kick. Well, 4 attacks actually, because I want to go over the step killer as well. When you catch somebody sidestepping, and a move when you think people are ducking, as opposed to using forward punch, you probably want to use forward kick punch, because it stuns on normal hit as well, and you would get that stun, and then you can still go to critical burst even from that situation. I treat forward kick punch as 1 move and 1 stun, so you don't have to worry about it all like that. So the flowchart for forward punch is pretty simple. You have a few options from it. You have a lift stun you can use, which is down forward punch, and that gives a pretty deep stun. From there, you have what I would like to call like almost a 50-50 in terms of critical bursting somebody. You go forward punch, down forward down. Forward punch, down forward punch, and then from there, you can go into back kick and hold down. As you see, when you stun somebody, it gives a crumple stun as opposed to just a regular stun. So you got a full stun, and you can pretty much go with what you want to from there because it's a crumple stun. And they have to hold if you're going to strike right away, or they have to just try to struggle and fall to the floor and hope you didn't hit any buttons. But most likely you want to do a mid when you hit somebody with a crumple stun, because that negates the low hold factor, even though low holds are nerfed. If you do a high recovering high attack, then it messes things up. So you really want to try to focus on a mid at that point. But like I say, you have forward punch, down forward punch, and then you get to critical burst. And that gets you all your damage right there. As you can see, that's where all your damage comes from. And then it also, even from that, you also get a pretty good situation because of the way her juggles in. They always in with your head facing forward. So you can actually do a pseudo force tech. But if it whiffs, you're pretty much minus. You probably have to block at that point. you'll be kind of defensive depending on the character and what you think they're going to do. Because after you hit any juggle, you can do punch plus kick. But we'll get into that in a second. The other mix-up for when you hitting 4 punch and you stun people is 4 punch into jab jab, which is pretty much the same thing as literally the same thing as hitting with this. It's hitting with down 4 punch after you stun somebody. So you can do the same thing, same exact flow chart into critical burst. And then that's where you would get all your damage from again. Or when people start getting hip to you're doing this and they start countering your mid kick and you're like, oh geez, now what do I do? It's another pretty good situation because you can do that and then they hold it and then you get a launcher after the punch plus kick. Because this guarantees a launcher or in general more or less a free hit, I guess. So you can't get a critical burst from it because there's just not enough advantage. It's only plus 19, so you can't really get a critical burst. I would suggest though, if you're doing punch punch because of the pushback and people struggling, it's you can pretty much just it's a difficult thing to really throw in there because when you hit people with jab jab and they're struggling, they fall back farther as opposed to when they counter. Well, for the sake of argument, when they're countering, they're going to be pretty much right here if they counter. So keep that in mind. And the next attack I want to really go into is probably the best way to open somebody up when they just start sitting there blocking and you don't really want to risk doing a throw. You can go into her low, which gives you anything you want. Like you get a launcher, which leads into the same situation of force attacking somebody. You can go jab jab and get to a critical burst and do a mix up. You know, you get all these different options that you can get to from there. So it's pretty much always the same flow chart in terms of maximizing your damage potential and forcing somebody to try to hold you as opposed to just trying to go for a quick launcher because outside kick, her launchers are outside kick and down forward kick is kind of hard to really squeeze in good damage from that, you know, especially because that's slower. And as you see, if they struggle, they just fall out of it or whatever. It's a really hard thing to try to do with her stun launch outside just doing kick. But punch, punch, kick, kick gives you that. So it's respectable damage, I guess. But you focus more on getting critical burst, in my opinion, with this character, because that's where she gets all the damage, and she gets to it so quick compared to most other characters. With quicker attacks, I should say. And she also has a sit down stun that guarantees good damage itself. So you can always fall back on that. Last attack, second to last attack is back kick, which is their tracking attack. You can't really do much except get a jab. You can get 4 punch. But in general, it's same exact flow chart. You get to it fast, and you want to get the damage as quick as possible. Well, not as quick as possible, but you want to try to get the critical burst and get your damage. Her critical burst attacks, even though it's the same hit level, is mid punch. You can get to it from 2 different ways. You can get to it from the stance and do a punch, or you can do 4-4 punch, which is they're both a critical burst attack. And the thing about it is, when you do this, you don't have to go into the stance. You can just do it that way, because they actually can hold out of that if you try to go into that. But you can actually just do it and not even go into the stance. And if they hold, then they're toast. Like if you just chain it, they're toast because they held so fast. So those are really good options. She has one more good gap closing attack that I like to use sometimes that I forget about at the beginning. It's a low and it stuns on normal hit. It's 4-4 punch plus kick, and it's a low. As you see, it's plus 19, and you can cancel it. It's a really good attack to get in there, especially once they start respecting the back punch. Because once they start respecting back punch, that gives you advantage. Then you can just kind of bulldoze your way in with normal hit lows to stun, and then give you a launcher or a mix up or whatever. And let's see, the last thing I'm going to go through is her throws, because her throws are all more or less resets, except for her damaging throw, which is her big throw. But you got back forward throw, which makes them lean, and then you get 4 punch, and you can get a combo. Well, you get a mix-up opportunity from that. They're low. but you can jab them out of it and get the same exact scenario. We've always been getting into critical bursts, what have you, or sit down stun into launcher. Excuse me. And from there you get respectable damage, plus the mix up with the fall down and them laying there. Because a lot of people like to lay there and try to rely on their wake up kick to make you back up, but you can actually just do that and make them stand right up. Can't really show you on the video because the way the computer gets up or whatever is really annoying. But that's the first throw. It's back for a throw. You get that. You get into that. You go to critical burst. The other throw is for a back throw. It's a different attack, so you kind of have to remember which ones you're doing. But this one, I tend to use up for a kick to get the stun, and then you can go into jab jab, or or you go into it so you get into critical burst fast. And the other throw, which is big, which you get a lot, you actually get a full combo from it. You get a full combo from that, and then the same situation with that. It's pretty good. Or you could just do a lift stun and get to critical burst really fast because you get the crisp, and then you're there. And so you get to 100 points plus your pseudo force tech, so you can get a pretty good situation from that. That'll about do it. I'll show you one more little thing that's cheesy with her. She has to get a really big guard break from that attack. It's not the best thing ever, but she can pretty much get any stun she wants at that point because your guard broken. So it's a really good thing to look out for. And that'll about do it for the Pai video. Thanks everybody for watching. You can follow me at Facebook or Twitter. They're at the bottom of the screen. And look out for the next video. Tell me what you liked about this video, what I could do a little bit better. You know, like I said, this is a work in progress as I'm trying to get better with it. Thanks for watching. Thanks.